Okay. Good morning. So I hope you had some good conversation. I hope we had some. If you helped make the beignets, can you stand up quick? So Marcus, Brooklyn, Connor, Tanya, Stephanie. They've been here since 7 a.m. slaving over beignets. So they were. Those were. I will be honest, there was a mixed box, but it was from Cafe Du Monde where we got beignets down in New Orleans, so I hope to bring a little taste there. This is our thank you breakfast, and so what we're going to do is, it's a little bit different because this is not a mission trip. It's a little different trip. And so we have a number of different things to talk about, and I have a number of youth coming up that are going to talk, so I'm going to do my best to not talk too much. But this is a thank you breakfast because of all of you making this trip happen. So you'll hear it a number of times, but thank you for making this trip happen. There's some amazing things that happened on this trip. If you don't know about the gathering, it's about 20,000 adults and youth that are Lutherans, LCMS Lutherans, that get together. It used to be called, has anyone gone on a gathering before here? Yeah. And so it used to be really known as NYG, National Youth Gathering, which was super helpful for marketing and like not saying LCMS Youth Gathering. It was a mouthful. But it has gone much more international over the years. There was 8 different countries represented at the gathering. So still primarily United States, but there was Germany, I believe China, maybe Thailand. There was a number of countries represented, and so it's kind of cool that it's a little bit more than just even American Lutheran. It's international. We had 25 youth and 7 adults from our group on the trip. And one of the cool things is that there are a lot of service opportunities. I'm not going to talk too much about our serving event, but in general, there's a lot of various ways that you can serve at the gathering. So it's just some of these numbers that you may not be able to read. The Mercy meals, those are pre-boxed, basically Feed My Starving Children. They have those at the convention center. 160,704 meals. 6,700 resource kits, 3,380, including our 32 people serving offsite. There was 567 pints of blood donated, 2,000 backpacks and health kits put together, 652 inches of hair donated. And so over 320 Braille books were made and 450 diapers sewn. So a lot of various ways that this gathering, while it is in some ways a big Lutheran party, there's also Bible study, worship, and that sort, but there's also a big impact on the community that maybe isn't thought about or seen too much. So that's pretty cool. Again, thank you. First and foremost for your prayers. This is, as I'll talk about in a minute, the theme was endure, and our group felt it, especially our adults. We averaged I meant to put it on there, that we averaged probably about 30,000 steps a day. And the average heat index, where's Tanya?
Average heat index is about 110. Our highest is 116, our lowest is 108.
So average heat index was 110, highest was 116, lowest was 108. So it was a little toasty. Granted, a large part of the day we were inside, but we had a mile walk to the convention center every morning and a mile back in the evening. So, so it was an enduring time, but thank you for your prayers. It was just a great group. But thank you also for your finances, because the actual cost per person was about $1,500. And what registration cost was about $450 plus some meals. And so that makes it extremely affordable compared to what the actual cost is. And this is a little bit more than a normal mission trip cost because we had to stay in hotels. That's part of the gathering is that you can't like look for Airbnbs and go offsite. You have to be in the hotels with everyone else, and so there's a little bit of cost there. It's a little bit further away, so we had travel costs with a bus, but you guys made it possible that it was very reasonable, and so our total raise was about $36,000, and so thank you. We can't do it without you, so thank you. So like I said, the theme was endure. I'll let Aryu talk more about the theme, but our verses were Hebrews 12, 1 through 3. And I'm not going to read that all out for time's sake, but the cloud of witnesses was a big thing, running with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus. It's one of the things I love about being Lutheran, which again, one of the important things about this trip is we are all Christians, but we're Lutheran on purpose. And so it's really exciting to get to be with other Lutherans and to celebrate that and to hear. The whole weekend was about Jesus. It just really was. And it kept pointing us back to we endure in Jesus and all these other things. So I am going to, if you were in worship, this is the same video, but maybe you'll catch something different. But this is kind of a recap video looking at what the gathering looks like. And then we'll get into the speakers here.
most looking forward to on this LCMS youth gathering trip?
Growing my relationship with Jesus and my fellow peers.
Reconnection and fellowship. I'm looking forward to the mass events, seeing all the people.
20,000 young Lutherans celebrating and praising the Lord. It was pretty amazing.
I apologize, trying to figure out the sound there. One of the cool things I wanted to point out was 2 of the clips in there were from official LCMS youth gathering videos because our group got on on the screen a ton. There was one mass event that like we were just constantly on the screen. So it was really cool, really fun. I'm gonna invite up Veronica to talk about mass events.
Okay, so every night we went to the Superdome for a mass event, which had worship and speakers. One of the speakers was Bethany Hamilton, who was a surfer who lost her arm in a shark incident, so it was super cool to be able to hear her story. The speakers taught us how to endure in Jesus, endure together, and to endure forever. Mass event was definitely my favorite part of each day. It was super fun to be able to worship with 20,000 other Christians. Super impactful. 2 of the nights we had Mass Event Plus, which was a concert. One of the nights was Flame, who is a LCMS rapper. And the other night was Ren Collective. They're a Christian band. Yeah, it was super fun. It's one of the fun things. We got these little wristbands that lit up. So it was super cool to be able to see all the light, and it showed Cloud of Witnesses, which is in the Hebrews verse. Yeah, super fun. Definitely my highlight of each day.
What's your name?
Oh, Veronica.
What's your last name?
Ferdig.
And she's going to be a sophomore this year.
Yeah.
There we go. Is that, you good? All right. Thank you, Veronica. So yeah, mass events are usually the highlight. They're the end of the day, so we're starting at the end of the day, but that's okay. So thank you, Veronica. Next, I'm going to invite, I believe, Lillian. Yes, Lillian Anderson. There she is. So.
Hello, my name is Lillian Anderson. The bus travel, it was very uncomfortable to sleep on the bus. But I mean, we played some fun games and we listened to music, so that was fun. The seminary was beautiful. We went into a couple of classrooms. They were very nice. They had really old paintings. They were gorgeous. The stained glass was absolutely amazing. And the organ, there was how many pieces of the organ?
A lot.
There was a lot, and some of them were metal and some of them were wood. It was so cool. And yeah.
Did you get to climb the bell tower? Or
No.
you didn't go up?
No, I did not.
So we'll when youth come up, just say your full name and what grade you're going to. Lillian's going to be a freshman. I didn't give instructions. We're all figuring this out. But yeah, no, the seminary was a very, very cool experience. We got to go up Luther Tower. Has anyone done that here? Everyone in purple shirts, wild. It is a narrow experience. It is one of the most narrow staircases I've ever gone up. I did fit, so that was exciting. But it's pretty intense. So, but pretty cool experience to get to do that. Quick story, fun thing for me is that my previous congregation was in St. Louis, and one of my church family down there, they picked up Sugar Fire barbecue catering for us, as well as gooey butter cookies and Fitz's Pop. So they got a little taste of St. Louis while we were down there, and have some good barbecue. All right. Next is AJ, I think. Yes.
Hello, my name's Annika Rassett. I'm going to my junior year of high school, and the Goose Chase was just I think it was just between our church and then Mount Olive, who rode with us on the bus right there and back. And basically what it was, it's this app you can get, and there's challenges for a certain amount of points. And so we kind of, shout out me barbecuing Paul. So, sorry. sorry. We had challenges throughout like the whole trip, like starting in like St. Louis, like you tried the gooey butter cookies, you could like post a picture to it. Levi ate a hot dog in 3 bites. Thanks, Levi. That's why we won. And yeah, it just gave like fun things for the youth to do around the trip. And I think it gave a lot of memories because we wouldn't have as many pictures to like remember the trip if we didn't do the goose chase.
Which, reminder, if you were on the winning team, which was Team Abby, we had Team Abby and Team Amy. The team captains didn't do much, it was all the youth, but if you won on Team Abby, I do have a gift card for you, so don't let me forget after this. One other fun thing, my favorite mission was, who is Caleb Engelhardt? Because a number of years back on a mission trip, there was a youth who ended up being a Yav at this gathering, so none of our youth knew who this guy was, but I wanted them to get a picture with him, and that was their goal. And so they were trying to find him, and our group found him randomly at a mass event as we're trying to not get caught in a sea of people. And they did find him. I was very surprised, but that was very cool. All right, Savannah.
I'm Savannah, and I'll be a junior in high school. I'm here to talk about the servant events, but first I'm just going to say that the LCMS Youth Gathering was an opportunity to worship with other young youth Lutherans, just like me, and it was a very great experience, and I loved every minute of it, and I would recommend it to anyone to go to the next one in San Antonio. Let me find. One of the days we took the opportunity to go to the servant event, and we took the opportunity to go to a servant event, which was downtown New Orleans, and we helped out a community called Broadmoor Improvement Association with another church from Boston by gardening and pulling out weeds in the very hot humidity with lots and lots of sweat. A few of us got the privilege to not be outside in the extreme heat and help with the food pantry, which I was one of them. And when the lady we were helping for the food pantry asked if we could get any helpers for the food pantry, me and Margo were the first to raise our hands. And when we started, it brought back so much memories of when we went to Alaska and helped at the food pantry. And as I serve at the food pantries, it feels great to show the love of Jesus. And it feels good to show the love of Jesus to less fortunate, and seeing the smile on their faces, even though they're less fortunate, and it's just humbling. And as I keep serving as an adult and along with my faith journey, I look forward to keep serving others as I grow along in my faith journey. And lastly, I just thank you all and St. John's for helping us be able to go to this gathering.
So yeah, it was just it was a time of endurance, right? I just want to give a shout out to our group and how great an attitude they had. The email I got about what sermon event we were going to do was arts and crafts, and they said they would tell us if that changed. They did not, and so we showed up expecting arts and crafts, and then did weeding for 2 hours in the heat on the hottest day down there. So. Yeah, but everyone had a great attitude. It was still a great sermon event, so pretty special opportunity to be able to do that. Okay, next, I apologize. I hope the sound is a little bit clearer, but they'll introduce themselves. But Margo and Ethan are not able to be here today, but they have a video to talk about the sessions at the convention center.
Hey, I'm Margo Miller. I'm going into 11th grade.
And I'm Ethan Miller. I'm going to 9th.
And I think the sessions were something that everyone should experience at least once. I know not everybody can, but I think it was such an eye-opening experience to see that there were so many other people that wanted to talk about the same things you did, or wanted to figure out how they're feeling about something.
I'm going to try something here. Sorry. I want you to be able to understand them. So I'm going to change my output here. So hopefully it'll be better.
And the amount of sessions they had were crazy. It catered to anything and everything. The speakers were wonderful. Me and my friends got a picture with one, which is also, he led my favorite session that we went to, which was navigating through a storm, and it was about conflicts with peers. But what he talked about, you can apply to conflicts you have with anybody in your life. And I think it's really good to focus on not only with people your own age in high school, but also with family members. And it was good because you got a sense of reflection on yourself too, on what you tend to do during conflict. And there was like a lot of reflection questions that made me realize how I tend to act and how it all makes sense on how I feel about conflicts, because I just never reflected like I should have. And I think it was good for me too, because now I can carry that with me for my future.
Okay, and my favorite session was the all boys one, where we learned, well, the main topic was that being manly doesn't mean being mean. It's a good skill that most people can apply in high school. It's a very good topic. You want to finish it off, Marco?
Yeah. We wish we were there with y'all. And we don't know if we're the first people to talk or some of the last, but we hope that every youth you talk to and every adult that you talk to that went on the trip, we hope that you can see how, like, the joy in their face when they're talking about their experience. Because I think everyone that went will really remember this trip forever. And the connections that we built with each other. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, I'm going to invite Levi and Jacob up to talk about the convention center.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I'm going in my freshman year. Cortisis.
Hi, I'm Levi Hewitt. I graduated. I moved in 4 days, so I'm out of here. Okay, so we actually have like 2-ish topics. Paul doesn't have it on here. Convention Center, and then we actually did this interview series. So I'm actually going to talk about the Convention Center first, because that's what all these pictures are. Pretty much in the Convention Center there were, sessions, but there was just like huge open area with a bunch of things. It's called the interactive area, interactive zone. There were, all the Concordia universities had like booths set up where they all had unique things, free giveaways. Me and Jacob went to the Concordia St. Paul booth a few times. But
there were a lot of food trucks, and I like food. But there were also like a bunch of different things you could do. One of them, you could hold a live alligator, and that was really cool. So I got to hold a live alligator. And there was a bunch of free stuff. I probably have half a backpack full of free stuff. It's a lot.
So I guess to wrap up the Convention Center, it was really a place to do a lot of things outside of the main programming. So it's kind of a explore your own, take your own adventure type of situation. Because we had our sessions and our Bible study, but between those you could come to the Convention Center. There was so much to do. You could play games and sports. You could go to all the booths. There was a ton to do. And then,
so we first got the idea for the interviews at a Bible study. We were playing Jackbox after it, and one of the prompts was Paul and Jacob doing a podcast series. And somehow that morphed into Levi and I doing interviews of a bunch of random people. So we did a bunch of different topics, like what are you looking forward to on the trip? Caramel or caramel? The best way to have a potato? Best part of the gathering and favorite part of the mass event?
A few stats from our interviews. We did 7 episodes, so we recorded one for every day we were gone on the trip, plus one extra, which was like famous people at the gathering. Between all of the episodes, there were 7,676 views, 7 episodes, and 11 states represented from random people we took in the convention center. So a majority of the interviews we did were me and Jacob standing in the convention center and asking them if we can interview them. We did not know any of them beforehand, besides the people from our church. Really, this experience kind of, I don't know about Jacob, but forced me out of my bubble, because I would not willingly talk to random people that I didn't know, and I mean, got to interact with like 50 random people that I've never met before, and follow some of them on Instagram now. So we have a video that has 1,700 views.
It's the most important question addressed.
Welcome back to episode 4, and today we're asking people if it's caramel or caramel. Hi, what's your name?
Ava.
What's your name?
Avery. Lily. Tess. Hannah.
And where are you guys from?
Ohio.
Alright, and is it caramel or caramel?
Caramel. 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 Caramel.
Hi, what's your name?
Zach Showers.
Where are you from?
Michigan.
And is it caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Alrighty, thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Robert Babler.
And where are you from?
Grafton, Wisconsin.
And is it caramel or caramel?
It is caramel.
Alrighty, thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Gracie. Natalie.
Caleb.
And where are you guys from?
Janesville, Wisconsin. Janesville, Wisconsin.
Janesville, Wisconsin.
Alright, and is it pronounced caramel or caramel?
Caramel. Caramel.
Caramel.
Okay, thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Paul.
Where are you from?
America.
Alright, and is it caramel or caramel?
It's caramel.
Alright. Hi, what's your name?
Noelle. Vivian Myers.
And where are you guys from?
Arizona. Arizona.
Alright, and is it caramel or caramel?
Caramel. Caramel.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jacob Leva. So yeah, I was pretty stoked to have a couple youth work together and do something unique like that. You can find them all on Instagram if you want to check out the rest of the series. One important thing I wanted to add about the convention center is one of the things the Gathering did a great job of, I felt, was providing safe spaces for those struggling with anxiety or just needing a break from people. They had reset rooms at both the convention center and the Superdome, and so youth that were struggling could go check out for a little bit, reset, get a little less stimulation than 20,000 people around them, and they did just a great job. So I hope the takeaway for our youth that did struggle to use those resources is that they can go to these types of things, and anxiety doesn't have to be debilitating where you can't do these things. And so they did a hard thing, they endured, and so I'm really proud of our youth that pushed through, and also thankful to the Gathering for offering those opportunities. Very quickly, I wanted to share, I got to do something I've never done before, which was lead an adult leader session at the Youth Gathering. And so I got to speak about building young leaders. I spoke 2 days, one being after the wonderful Heat Servant event. And so that's why I have the Hawaiian shirt that day. That's how I got through. But I really appreciate it because I got to do this because I was a part of a study on millennials and got in this book, 7 Practices of Healthy Youth Ministry. And so I was focusing on the chapter of the book on building young leaders. And but basically I got to talk about the book and how I see it in our youth here at St. John's and in our Youth Leadership Council. And so I got to brag on our kids, and that was fun to do. And have a lot of fun conversations. So just wanted to share that. I believe next is one of our adults is going to share kind of a testimony on their experience. Someone I near and dear to my heart, my wife Abby. So this is our second gathering we got to go on together. So little different experience. We're a little bit older, more mature, and more experience. Well, okay, the maturity is debatable for me. So.
Good morning. My name is Abigail, Abby, whatever. Sometimes I also respond to Amy, so that's beside the point. Paul said that he did not give clear instructions, but I received very clear instructions, so I printed out my testimony. This is the third time that I have gone to an LCMS gathering. Second time as a chaperone. I went to San Antonio in whatever year. I actually got to celebrate my 17th birthday at my first gathering, which was really cool. But this particular gathering had a very special impact on me, and I'm so sorry. It's a very vulnerable moment for me, so Tanya, stop it. As many of you know, I think a lot of people here know that in 2023, we welcomed our sweet Amelia into the world. But about 3 weeks before we had her, we suddenly lost my mom. And that is the first time that I have experienced a great loss like that. And the combination, the collision of death and life in the same time was something that increased my anxiety tenfold. 3 weeks after having Amelia, I was actually hospitalized with a blood clot that they found in a primary vein in my leg, which leads directly to my heart. And it is only by the grace of God that I survived. I would actually come to find out later that a peer from college who was the same age as me was diagnosed with the same condition and died a month after she got married. I have struggled with the idea that other moms in this world lose their babies while I cradle mine. I struggled when we were watching the news about the young women who got swept away in the Texas floods. And this was weeks before all of our own youth were entrusted to us to get on a bus to go to New Orleans. And so these moments have reminded me over the last 2 years how little control we have. That no matter how strong our faith, the pain of this broken world that we live in, we are not guaranteed anything. And that idea took root in me to the point where I struggled to find the joy in living. So at our first group Bible study at the gathering, which we did almost every day, full days of programming, it was us and probably 200-300 other people in a room. The pastor is talking to all of these high schoolers about how we have no fear in death because in death we have life through Christ, right? And I watched as 200 plus kids in this room just nodded along and were like, yes. And I was baffled because had they just not experienced enough pain and loss in their life yet to really just hop on the bandwagon, or did they actually believe that? And I just want to clarify, I definitely believe in salvation. I believe that we are saved by grace through faith in Christ and the sacrifice of his son. But what I did not acknowledge was that for a long time, I lived in fear of what comes after death. I lived in fear of heaven, which everybody's like, but why? I had a camp counselor once tell me that heaven was going to be different than anything we've known on earth, that we were going to be in such awe of God, which I totally agree, but what they told me was that we were going to be in such awe of God that it wouldn't matter who was next to us. And we were going to be so made new that our earthly relationships wouldn't matter to us, that our earthly marriages wouldn't matter. And so my entire life, that's what I've known. And it made me believe that if and when I lose Paul or Amelia, that my story with them just ends. And that fear led me to a need to control everything. It came down to me to protect them, to not lose them, right? And living with that kind of pressure and that kind of fear and anxiety is crippling. So here we are, and we're loading on this bus to New Orleans, and I felt like a fake. I was tasked with encouraging these kids to lean into their faith when my own was very rocky. So it's night 2, we're at mass events. I think Flame was already on stage at this point, and I couldn't breathe. My fear, my anxiety was overwhelming me. I was so hyper-focused on what Pastor had talked about in Bible study that day, and I just felt alone in this room of 20,000 people. And the next day, I'm walking around the convention center waiting for, to run into the kids and make sure everything's going okay. And I ran into a really good pastor friend of ours who happens to be my sister's father-in-law. And of all the hundreds and thousands of pastors there, he probably knew my story the best because he was there for my sister as my mom was passing away. And I asked him, I was like, is this a real is my perception of heaven wrong? And he was like, well, we were talking about the great cloud of witnesses this week. Paul in Thessalonians talks about the moment when heaven will come down to earth and the church will be reunited, right? And so we talked about it, and he was like, I firmly believe that I will see family members again when I go to heaven, and you could ask any pastor and they'd probably tell you the same. So I walked away from that conversation feeling better, feeling good, and then we got busy and I moved on. Well, it wasn't until the last night of mass events that this whole concept really hit me. We had now been in New Orleans for 3 whole days. Each day is full of activity, walking, singing, a lot of sweat, maybe some tears. My favorite part of the gathering, the reason that I wanted to go, and I would go again, is because of the reunions. Between all the relationships that Paul and I have built through camp and Concordia and just doing ministry together, it felt like we saw a familiar face every few minutes. This is a collage of people that I have known through all different walks of my life. And we would run into them, and years had passed since we've talked to them, and it was like I had seen them yesterday. I had one young lady run up to me and congratulate me on becoming a mom, and the last time I saw her, she was walking across campus 7 years ago, and we had never talked. So we would stand in food lines and strike up conversations with people and discover that we had mutual friends. And let me tell you, the youth will probably tell you that this was the most annoying part of the trip for them. Because Paul, I guess, ran into somebody he knew in the elevator immediately after telling Jacob, I don't know everybody here. So that night at the mass event, I'm thinking about all the people that I have hugged and high-fived and waved at, and I realized that was it. That this was just what heaven is going to be like. That it's going to be a place of remembering and reunion and not of forgetting. And this experience of a great reunion of believers is why I believe in the gathering so much. And it's exactly what we have forward to look to in heaven. Yes, heaven will be different. The next time I see my mom, she will be a completely sinless resident of heaven, which is really cool. The parents that lost their kids in the Texas floods will experience that pain for the remainder of their life on earth, but it's not the end of their story with their children. I stood there in the mass event on the last night, and I was watching 20,000 other people worship in unison, and I remember texting Amy and saying, I think this is the closest we will ever get to heaven on earth. And that is why we are so passionate about sharing the gathering with your kids. I went grieving what I might lose, and I left that trip rejoicing in what I will gain. And we hope it was that way for the kids too. Thank you.
Sorry. It's special to get to do ministry with your spouse. I'm very blessed. I was telling the youth, trying to remember. Oh, don't want to spoil that. But I told the youth on the last night, first time, I'm just very proud of this group. I'm very grateful to be a part of this congregation and to work with these youth. We have a great youth group that just great attitudes, share their faith, worship so freely. I mean, you see that in the video. I mean, it was just awesome to see. You didn't see everyone in the video, but there was so many in our group that even the guys raising hands, jumping around. You love to see it. And so just very thankful and proud of them. I told them last night that to me, taking the youth to the gathering, this is the end of our first time doing a 3-year cycle here of our summer trips. So we did the domestic trip to Kentucky, then last year went to Alaska, this year going to the gathering. And so this was to me like being a parent on Christmas morning, getting to see their kids open a present. Because I love our church. And those pictures are some of the reason why. There's such a beautiful thing to get to be together and to worship and to celebrate the faith given us in Christ. And so to see them enjoy it, to worship together, to make videos with people from around the country, just super cool. Last thing I wanted to say before I'll kind of move, we're doing okay on time, this is good. But if you're an adult leader that went on the trip, could you please stand up? It takes a team, and I'm so thankful that the team we had worked so well together. It was a blessing, and that I know I can call on any of them when I need to, and it's just such a wonderful blessing to me and to our youth that they get to know you guys. So if you didn't see, he's standing over there, but Noah did go on the trip too. So cool for him to get to experience. One thing yes, and Julia did travel with us too. She came for CSP to represent CSP, but she got to ride on the bus with us and was at most of the mass events with us. And so pretty special to have those people with us and connect to our family here. So before I move on to our next mission trip, are there any questions on the gathering? I know this is a very different trip.
Tell us about the picture on the t-shirt.
Oh, this one? This is me. It is from our kickball tournament in March, and so it is just a picture that my wife did the graphics for. So, I would rap for you, but I'm not going to. Yeah.
So, does the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod literally have a department or a group of people doing all this work? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's the LCMS Youth Ministry in our Synod headquarters down in St. Louis, and they do have a team that's like, this is their full-time job. And so they started on the next gathering like a year ago. So that's why the next one is 2028 in San Antonio. They did announce that. And so, yeah, it's thousands of volunteers. And it's people taking time off and paying to go make this thing happen, because there's two main volunteers. There's it used to be community life builders. It's now gathering ambassadors, and so they have those at each of the hotels, so that if they have a morning meeting every day where they give updates, because things are constantly changing there. And then they also have YAVs, young adult volunteers, which I'm hoping to have a bunch to go on the next one. At our kind of college age youth, and they help with a lot of sessions. They help direct traffic. One side story, just because I'm thinking on helpers. It was really weird. I didn't actually mention it to our youth at the time, but Westboro Baptist Church showed up to protest the gathering. Don't ask me why, because I don't know, other than that they're angry. They're just angry people. And so it's a really powerful moment, though, because they showed up the morning that we had our servant event offsite, so I was like, I just don't want them to even think about it. But I think there was like 7 or 10 people tops that were protesting outside the convention center, and they had a wall of young adult volunteers blocking it off, keeping youth safe. The president of our synod went and talked to them and just had discussion with them. And he preached on the last day we had worship all together and had communion all together. And President Harrison mentioned in his sermon that he went and talked to the protesters, and he's like, you know, they told me that we have sinners in our church. And I said, well, duh. And so, it's just like, there's no rationale to it. But a very powerful moment to see volunteers step up that way. But yeah, no, but there's a full-time team, and then they have a number of committees. You know, it was really cool for me. I had a number of classmates that were on the mass event planning committee, and so you know they got to actually write everything that happened. And so, but that happens years out, yeah.
And is it also true that our famous Noah Gunderman was on the worship team?
It was. It is true. Noah Gunderman and his family led worship before the Bible studies. So he definitely had a fan section that screamed loudly. It was awesome. Yeah.
Paul, of all the experiences, interactions that you and the youth of our church have had, if there's one thing that you would say you hope and pray that they came away with, that they're going to take into not only their homes, but in their schools and with our community, what would that be?
Are you talking this trip, all trips? This trip. Thank you. That helps narrow it down.
One thing you, as the leader, you hope that these young people came away with. If there's only one thing.
One thing that I hope youth came away with, if it was one thing, I think it's that they know that they are loved. That they are loved by a God who endured the cross for them. That they are loved by a congregation, by a cloud of witnesses, right? And that they are loved with purpose to the end, that we get to be together. So, yeah, that would be my main thing, is that they remember that they are loved. So, any other questions before the big reveal? Okay. Please, let's keep having conversations about this. It's so hard to fit this into a little box. But Mission Trip 2026, we're already plugging ahead, looking ahead. We just had a youth board meeting looking at the next 3 years. I'm not going to go into that today, but it was really good. But we are doing a group mission trip next year, so we're going back to kind of our staple for the last few decades, serving. It's going to be July 11th to 18th, 2026, and it is going to be in Wausau, Wisconsin. The exotic Wausau, Wisconsin. Yeah. So be looking, youth families, be looking for, we have our kickball kickoff on the 28th, on a Thursday. I'll have a whole schedule there. One of the things is I'm hoping by the end of September to have a meeting set up to talk more about this in depth. But I'm excited about it. We're doing, part of the decision on location was just dates that they have available. I really was hoping they had a location in Kansas that I was looking at, that we would have to leave on the 4th of July. I was like, that's probably not going to work out. So, so very excited to go to Wausau, Wisconsin, serve the community there on a service mission trip projects there. I will say I'm going to look into seeing if we can spend the first day at the Dells, go to some water parks. So really good opportunity there. We're starting a new cycle, so we get to serve God, spend time in Bible study, and go to another place. So before we close out, would you please join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, I thank you for the cloud of witnesses that we have here at St. John's, that our cloud that we know of has expanded a little bit at the gathering, that we now know other Lutherans from around the country, around the world. And I just ask you to bless us as we go, that this gathering would continue to make an impact, that we would remember that we endure because your son Jesus endured the cross, that we would remember that we don't endure alone, that we belong to a family that is enduring alongside us, and that we get to endure forever because of your son Jesus, that we get to be together in heaven where there's no crying, there's no pain, no death, just your glory and your cloud of witnesses. And so go with us this day, protect us, and we just thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much.